Right, folks, so I'm here outside the courthouse, just got out of day 3 of the Lil Durk trial. There's a lot going on, it's really hectic today, so I'm just gonna have to give you a really quick, short update and summary of some of the things that have just happened, and I'll be back with a longer breakdown for you guys. I've got so many notes, I'm barely even gonna be able to get through everything, so I'm just gonna try and remember everything major off the top of my head and just give you the basic facts, but everything's absolutely insane right now. We've had opening statements from the prosecution. They put forward a very, very compelling case against Lil Durk. They showed unseen evidence, they teased evidence that was coming later, and they showed more evidence later on, but they've got still images of the night King Von died, the attempt on Quando's life in May 2021 in Blackshear, Georgia, obviously new angles that we've never seen before of the Lil Pab murder in Hollywood, and it's overwhelming. They made it very clear that Lil Durk had hitmen like OTF Jam, who has caught bodies for the BDs before, and that they will be testifying and supporting the government in what they're saying against Durk. They said that they got Vonnie, the guy that basically organized everything. He's going to be testifying against Lil Durk, and obviously they've got another witness who was part of the operation who is going to be testifying. Now that was devastating. This is the cliff notes. I'm going to give you the full breakdown of everything later on today, but like just right now, in what little time that I've got, those are the basics. But then after this, the defense kind of put forward their arguments. Now, there were some very, very interesting things that kind of ended up going back and forth. The prosecution revealed a couple of crazy things that we hadn't heard before. They said that when Lil Durk was apparently trying to flee the country, he was going to get a private jet. You know what's crazy? They said that Lil Durk went to the Clearport to go and get onto the private jet. He said that when he realized that the FBI were there for him, he tried to flee the FBI at the airport, and he said once they boxed him in and once they cornered him and they tried to arrest him at the airport, he basically refused to get out the car. He was trying to get away from the cops. He was trying to get on the private jet. He was trying to get abroad. Now, when it flipped over to the defense, I cannot believe this. They are blaming everything on Vonnie. I don't know if it counts as telling, if the guy's already telling on you, but they're basically saying Vonnie masterminded all of this. They said that Vonnie was there when King Von died. They're saying that King Von actually said to Vonnie, "Why did you let them shoot me?" And Vonnie was devastated. Vonnie was the one driving the Hellcat. You know that footage where King Von gets killed? Obviously, you know, Muwop's dragging him off the ground, punching Quando Rondo. They're saying Vonnie's the one that went and got the Hellcat and sped him to the hospital. They're saying that Vonnie was holding King Von in his arms, telling him "I love you" before he went to the hospital, and that was the last conversation they ever had. They're saying Vonnie had all the motivation. They're saying Vonnie and King Von were cousins. That's why they call him Vonnie Cuz. They're saying that Vonnie and King Von were so tight that they had shared bank accounts. It was crazy. I had never even comprehended that they might try and blame it all on Vonnie. I thought it was all street. We don't talk. It's on murder. We don't even acknowledge this as a gang. But now they're saying, yeah, this all happened. This is all a murder. Vonnie did it. They're saying Vonnie and Jam, they did everything. They was off on their own. We didn't have any clue. Well, that's going to be a problem, because in the prosecution's opening statement, they made it very clear. They said, yeah, well, not we had, but there was a tracker in the stolen BMW that was used in the hit on Quando. It tracked the car.
Come back and get credit for the work you've put in at Purdue Global. With your experience and college credit, your degree may be up to 75% complete. Start your comeback at Purdue Global, Purdue's online university for working adults. Apply now.
All the way around town to Quando's hotel, to the stores that Quando was shopping at the Bathe and Ape store, to the spot where they killed him, where they tried to kill him and killed Lil Pab at the Beverly Center, to the In-N-Out Burger. They had the moving image, the actual footage of the In-N-Out Burger with everybody's faces on display. Jam, Dee, Vonnie, they're all in there with their faces bait in the In-N-Out, matching shoes, same shoes from the surveillance footage of the murder. We saw 2 different angles of the murder of Lil Pab. It was just insane. Absolutely cooked, deep fried by the looks of it. And they're saying that BMW that had the tracker in it that was stolen and used in the hit, the slider, where did it go after In-N-Out Burger? Oh, to the crib that Lil Durk was staying in. So Vonnie was in this stolen car orchestrating this whole thing and then going to the massive, beautiful Encino mansion that Lil Durk was staying in at the time. Now that's really, really bad news. I'm not gonna lie, the defense, they put on a good argument that it was all Vonnie, but it's kind of like, bruh, when we start seeing some of that other evidence, it's gonna be a tall order to say that Vonnie did everything. He was off on a mission all by himself. He wasn't trying to impress Durk. They're saying that they arrested Vonnie in a luxury penthouse suite, in a suite of a hotel in Chicago that he was staying at with his girlfriend. The defense are trying to say, oh, when they arrested him, they said to him, oh, you're the ringleader of this, you're the leader of this unless you give us blast someone else, trying to say that like that he's just putting Durk in it to try and save himself. But like, are they really expecting the jury to buy that Vonnie was just out here on his own, orchestrating this whole thing by himself? Durk had no knowledge. He's pulling up to Durk's crib in the slider after the hit, and you're saying Durk had no knowledge? They flew out there together on the private jet together, and Durk had no knowledge? I don't know if they're going to buy that, but we're going to see. We're going to have to find out. Now, that was crazy in itself. The opening statements were absolutely wild. But then we got to the really sad and harrowing stuff. There was rumors that maybe OTF Jam's going to take the stand today. I don't think that's going to happen. But here is what did happen. The cops basically started meticulously showing all of the details about the murder of Lil Pab and just how violent and horrific it was. The first thing they did was they had a 911 call handler get on the stand. They played the 911 call that was taken by a witness. Apparently 8 people called 911 after they slayed Lil Pab in broad daylight in rush hour on a Friday night outside the Beverly Center, one of the most ridiculous crimes you could ever even think to commit. But in addition to that, the 911 call, the woman is frantic. She's saying, oh, there's somebody's just been shot in Beverly Hills. They're being shot with machine guns. I don't want to give any of my information. I'm so scared. Somebody's hurt. They brought absolute fire, hell, and destruction onto Beverly Hills in rush hour. It's absolutely insane. It's unbelievable. So that was already off to a bad start. They then played brand new footage that we had never seen before, multiple camera angles, straight up 4K footage of the murder of Lil Pab. Now, it happened very, very quickly. What we ended up seeing was kind of very, very quick shots of these guys creeping through the alleyway. They hop out of those stolen cars, creep through the alleyway, they up their Glocks, they shoot their switches. It's all over within 2 seconds. Everybody jumps back into the car that Lil Pab was in and they speed off. That was it. But then we saw the body cam footage of the first responder that administered CPR to Lil Pab. We saw them pulling Lil Pab out of the car, and it was honestly, it was harrowing. It was graphic. We're hearing Lil Pab kind of moaning, taking his last breaths, and unfortunately his family was in the court during this, so it was just so heartbreaking to see. That was just, you know, obviously it was a really, really, really horrible piece of footage, much worse than what we'd seen on TMZ, you know, the famous No clip, but that clip also did capture Quando screaming no from the angle of the first responders. It was really, really messed up. Now, in addition to that makes it even worse, they then showed the Lil Pab autopsy. The medical examiner testified that apparently Lil Pab actually was found with a bullet lodged in his heart. He had punctured his lung with a bullet that stayed in his body. He'd also been shot twice in the bicep. One went straight through, and another actually was also lodged in his bicep. It was horrible. It was graphic, and it was just really, really sad. And it really drove home the reality of this. There's a lot of people in the courtroom that have been reporting on this, and a lot of people are saying that they're, you know, loyal to the defense. They're supporting the defense. They want Durk to get off. Look, whoever did this, there needs to be justice, because this was a horrific crime. There was a grieving family in court that was suffering today. Whoever did this brought hell and destruction onto the streets of Beverly Hills outside the Beverly Center. I went to the Beverly Center to go and buy a suit the other day, and I was thinking, what on earth were people doing firing automatic guns at this location? It is actually a disgrace. So I'm trying to be impartial. I don't know. I can't give you the verdict on who did this yet, but what we're hearing is that this was a horrific crime that does need to be solved, that does need to be punished, and it looks like justice is coming. So I'll be real with you. Durk's defense, they didn't put up any arguments. They didn't put up really any cross-examination when it came to the 911 call handler. We heard from the detective that was on the scene talking about 18 shell casings. You know what was crazy? They basically said that there were bullets that were in the gas pump. They could have blown that whole thing up like goddamn GTA. It was absolutely reckless. It was absolutely outrageous, this crime. And we're hearing more and more details just about how awful the way that this went down was, and just like this wasn't something that's just going to be swept under the rug. This wasn't, oh, we caught an op in Southside Chicago and no one's going to know about it. This was straight up a gangland slaying in one of the busiest, most iconic tourist districts in Hollywood, in the middle of rush hour on a Friday night. It was just an unbelievable crime, and it seems like whoever did it might have been very sloppy. They're talking about they got footage of them going in and out of the In-N-Out burger after the hit. They're wearing the same shoes as the surveillance footage of the hit. Like, they got their faces out at In-N-Out. They're wearing ski masks on the hit, but they got the same shoes on. I really can't believe it. So look, I'm not going to say Durk's cooked. I'm not going to say Durk's taking a W, but the prosecution are coming in very, very strong. Durk's argument that it was all Vonnie and nothing to do with him, It's coming like a little bit of a long shot, if you ask me, to be honest with you, but we're going to see. That's the best argument they're going to put forward. Now, I think OTF Jam's testimony is going to be major. We're already talking about witnesses. We're hearing from detectives, 911 call handlers. I don't know if we're going to start hearing from gang members today, but it sounds like they're going through the motions with all of the most professional staff, people in law enforcement, people that were at the scene, first responders, medical examiner. So we've kind of just wrapped up the most harrowing piece of evidence, which was, of course, the autopsy footage. So I'll keep you guys posted. I'm going to go back inside. There was so much more to it that I don't have time for. I've made reams of notes, but I've literally got to rush back in because it's just been so hectic, so much going on. It is unbelievable what's going on right now, but I'll be back to update you guys. All right, I'll let you know if anyone else does any weird stuff outside the courthouse. Right now we're looking Gucci, but I don't know what's going to be going down. So we're going to see there's a lot of new people in here. I didn't see any celebrities. People were talking about kind of celebrity